Hello, my name is Lori Ann, and I'm going to be the nurse working with you today. How are you feeling?
I am feeling a bit of weakness on my right side, and I'm having a hard time walking without assistance. I am out of work because I'm unable to stand on my own, so I have my husband has to help me.
Okay, I'm really sorry to hear that. Are you having any trouble swallowing?
Yes, I'm having trouble chewing as well because my face feels weak.
Okay. Your chart does say that you had a stroke. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay if I assess you for your strength right now?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. First, I'm going to have you squeeze my hands. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. My hands. There you go. Very good. Next, I'm going to have you push up against my hands. Try to fight against them. Okay. Very good. And now next, I'm going to have you push with your feet and do the same thing. Okay. 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 I see. Um, I do see that you are drooping to one side. I'm going to sit you up. Okay. Lean forward. You. Okay. Are you feeling a little bit better?
Yeah.
Awesome. Alrighty. So I am going to make a note of this assessment. A few things I do want to talk about that I did notice. As you said, you are having weakness on your right side, and I can see that because you are unable to keep yourself upright. You are drooping to the right. I also can see why you might be having trouble um, swallowing and chewing. You are talking much slower than normal, so I can see why that might be a problem for you. Um, Let me see. What else can I look over? Um, yeah, all of this makes sense considering you had a stroke. Unfortunately, these things are going to make it really difficult for you to just walk and assist yourself, and it's really going to negatively impact your independence. So we're going to work with you as much as we can on that. Okay. Um, as I said, it's going to make it difficult for you to walk. It's going to make it really difficult for you to do kind of like basic ADLs or activities of daily living. Um, so, did you have any questions for me specifically before we move on?
The doctor did say I had a stroke, but I was too sick in the hospital to understand it. Could
Okay.
you explain that again?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things you want to know about a stroke is that it's caused by a blood clot that actually cuts off the circulation to the brain, specifically in an artery that has a connection to, like a direct connection to the brain. When it cuts off that oxygen, it actually kills the cells, and that's going to cause a lot of weakness on one side. It's going to cause slurred speech, and it's going to just disrupt a lot of bodily functions. Um, that, and just to reiterate, that is why you were having trouble swallowing, why you're having trouble walking, talking. One of the really good strengths that you have, though, is you do you do have a lot of strength on your left side, and that's really great for you to have some independence. Okay, to some degree. I also see that you live with your husband, which is great because you're going to have a really good support system. On top of that, we are going to have 2 home health aides and 1 home health nurse come in throughout the week to visit you and work with you, okay? Unfortunately, there are going to be some things that are going to be considered weaknesses or things that are going to make it really difficult for your recovery time. Since you cannot stand without assistance at this time, you are going to be out of work for a little bit, and your trouble swallowing is going to impact your nutrition. Your nutrition is actually going to impact how fast you get better. Okay, does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yes.
Is there anything you have to ask me about food wise?
How is my diet going to change?
Okay, first, the speech pathologist did put in an order for what looks like soft foods. Yes. She put in soft food diet order so you don't choke, specifically so you don't aspirate. Um, And one of the other things that I noticed in your chart is it looks like you have high cholesterol, which specifically what I'm worried about is the LDL levels, which is your low density lipoproteins. These have high levels of triglycerides in them, high levels of fat. And because of that, your body is producing a lot of cholesterol that's going to clog up those arteries. And when you clog up the arteries, you're more likely for a blood clot and hypertension, and you're more likely to have a stroke again because of it. So to follow up with that, when it comes to foods, I want you to avoid foods that are going to cause hypertension, or at least eat them in moderation. Okay. This includes foods that also increase your cholesterol. We want to consume less cholesterol in our diet. Okay. The Williams Basic Nutrition and Diet Therapy text by Stacy Nix says to avoid foods high in sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars. And you should also either limit or just cut out alcohol completely. Okay, at least until you get some strength back. As I said, your LDL levels are really high, and as a result, you are at a higher risk for cardiovascular disease. And we want to make sure that that's not, we want to get that out of the picture, okay? I do recommend that you have at least 3 low sodium meals and low cholesterol meals every day for 8 weeks until we can reevaluate your risk for another stroke. That appointment looks to be by the doctor in that's going to be on September 14th of 2024, and that's 8 weeks from today. What else do we want to go over? Foods to include into your diet. I want you to include fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean meats, a variety of fish, and unsaturated fats. The unsaturated fats specifically are going to promote HDL levels and lower your cholesterol. Okay, so we want our HDL or our high density lipoproteins we want those to be higher than our LDL. Okay. And when you lower that, it's going to lower your cholesterol, which is going to lower your hypertension, and then reduce the risk of another blood clot. Okay.
What are my plate recommendations?
So my plate recommendations are recommendations that focus on portions that you eat and the type of food and what the food groups look like in a healthy diet. So you're going to focus on making half of your meals whole grain. You're going to reduce added sugars and sodium. You're going to have more low-fat dairy products. Eating a variety of whole foods and vegetables and varying protein sources too, including fish. You also want to read food labels, and that's going to ensure that you're meeting the recommended daily intake values. Do you have any other questions?
Where can I get, what resources can I use to make these decisions?
Okay. So for starters, like I said, you can do the My Plate and you can do the food labels for, basic nutritional assistance. And I included that in your welcome packet here. We can go over that. I printed on 2 pieces of paper. This goes over the different food groups and what it looks like and how many portions. And then the second paper right here kind of goes into a little bit more detail about how much and all that. So it's a really great resource. I recommend it to a lot of my patients, if not all of my patients. Let's see. Also, I wanted to make sure I also included the material for Stacy Nick's text in your welcome packet and some additional information from the American Heart Association to lower your sodium intake. Okay. Do you have any other questions?
What about my activity level?
So your condition is actually going to limit your mobility. So because of that, I want you to work closely with your physical and occupational therapist to build up your strength because it is going to lower your recovery time. The reason being is when you exercise, it's going to increase your heart rate, but it's going to lower your blood pressure. And when you pair that with a diet that is lowering your cholesterol and lowering your blood pressure, your hypertension, when we put these 2 things together, you're reducing your risk for cardiovascular disease and the risk of another blood clot forming so you don't have another stroke in the future. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. From all of this information, do you have any other questions that you can ask me?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Of course. My contact information, as I said, is in your welcome packet, so I'm going to hand that to you. And I really hope to see you get better, okay?
Thank you so much.
Of course. Have a good day.